Hello and welcome to Saturn Day Sabbath. I am Reiki Master Sharon, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about honesty and why it's so important for us to do our own inner healing and inner work, because there are a lot of people who have endured a lot of trauma in their childhood or in their life, and there are a lot of people who are still surviving or acting out of this survival mode. And when we're operating out of survival mode, then when we have these triggers, they elicit a response from us. And usually these responses are fight, flight, fawn, and freeze. And a lot of people don't really talk about fawn and freeze a whole lot. But I think it's very important for us to realize that these are trauma responses as well. Because our true power is in being authentically ourselves. And when we're trying to form real soul-based connections with other people, our authenticity is really what is going to help us weed out the people who aren't truly meant to be in our lives. And it takes courage, and it takes a sense of feeling safe within yourself. And it's a really complex concept when you think about it, because a lot of times people find that safety within themselves by the rejection of the people who they love the most. The people who you expected to show up for you, the people who you expected to love you the most, sometimes are the ones who hurt us the most. And recognizing that and still choosing to wake up every day and do things and create things and keep going, there comes a point where we have to look at all the pain and sit with ourselves and really be the one to be that person, for that safe space for ourselves, rather than looking for someone to provide that role, right? Because until you can find a safe space within yourself, it's going to be very hard for you to find that in anyone else, because you're looking for something outside of yourself that has always been possible to attain within yourself. And I know it probably sound like Confucius when I say things like that, but people reflect to us. They're a mirror of what's going on within us. So if we are constantly looking outside ourselves for validation, then we're not truly saying, okay, I'm whole and one within myself, and I'm okay with whoever walks away or whoever doesn't show up for me, because I choose to show up for me. And this is very important, because when we do get into collaborations in communities or in relationships and, different kinds of interactions within other dynamics with other human beings, there are going to be people who have different wounds than you, and they're going to hear things that you say through those different lenses of wounding. And there may even be times where you may feel called to reject yourself and your own needs and your own desires, because you're afraid that they won't be accepted by others that are around you. But I'm just here to tell you that if you find the courage to really tell people what you need, how you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, the right people are going to stay. If you can find the courage to be authentic within that. But what happens sometimes when someone is still operating from this space of not feeling safe, then when they're triggered, they may get defensive. They may try to put it back on you. They may shut down. They may not say anything. They may freeze. Or fawn, which fawn is when you basically drop all of your wants and desires or needs in order to appease a situation, to avoid confrontation. It's when you say yes when you really want to say no. It's when you act like you're going along with the ride because you know if you were to express how you really felt that it would cause a more unsettling experience. But after a while, all of those experiences kill your soul. When you continuously do things for people and deny yourself, those aren't your people. That's not a healthy situation. You should, I mean, in a healthy dynamic, you would be able to express something that you don't like. You would be able to express that you don't want to do something, and that would be honored. They might not be happy about it, but eventually they would respect that. And if they don't respect that, maybe they don't respect you. Maybe they don't really deserve to be in your sphere, in your energy, in your life. Because when we try to keep people in our lives through this deceit, through this form of manipulation, it's not healthy for anyone involved. And you might say, well, I didn't lie, I didn't say anything. Well, withholding the truth is still deceitful. It's still self-abandoning. You understand? Because if you can say, well, I didn't tell them, or I didn't say anything, because I knew that if they knew the truth, that they would leave. I believe everyone should have the opportunity to decide if that's something they want to experience within their reality, and not communicating that is a form of deceit. It's a form of manipulation. It's a form of trying to hold on to this sense of control. It is so much more freeing when we can get to a place where we feel safe within ourselves to express ourselves and know that no matter what we express or what we say, that we're going to have a safe space within ourselves. We're not operating out of survival mode anymore. We don't need to fear being abandoned. We don't need to fear losing people in our lives, because there are 8 billion people on this planet. And if the handful of them that are in your lives don't truly resonate with you, chances are there are going to be other people who do. So I just want you to find the courage to be your authentic self, because There are a lot of people who don't feel safe within their own skin. They don't feel safe being their authentic selves in their environment because they've abandoned they've abandoned themselves so much that they've created a reality around them that is mirroring that back to them. But that mirror can be shattered. It's an illusion. And when you decide to be self-honoring, you're going to see all of that fall away. It may look like chaos at first, but the dust settles and something better can be constructed, because what are you really building with people who don't truly love you for who you are? It's fake. And that's why this healing work is so important. Because there are people who will use your emotions, and they know when someone doesn't like to be confrontational. They know what buttons they can push to get what they want out of you. But being your true, authentic self really kind of illuminates all of that deception. And it helps it to fall away and for you to live a more aligned life. And I think, this fawn concept is one that people don't really understand as much, because a lot of people will look at a situation and they'll go, oh, well, they did this, this, and this, so they must want to experience that. It's not always necessarily true. Sometimes people do X, Y, and Z because they're afraid of what will happen if they don't do X, Y, and Z. They don't want to deal with the repercussions of not doing X, Y, and Z. And they don't actually want to do X, Y, and Z, or be in a situation where they have to do X, Y, and Z. But they are operating from a state of survival mode because they don't feel safe within themselves. So when people say things like, oh, if they wanted to, they would, that's not always necessarily true. Sometimes people act out of a trauma response. And it is what it is. And nobody can break them out of that illusion but themselves. No one can make those changes in their lives except for themselves. You have that power to make that change, to make that shift within yourself. But you can't do it for anyone else. So, that's what I have for you guys today. Thank you for being here. I am starting the Oracle program up again this Sunday on the school platform. If you're interested in joining us, please let me know. I'll give you some information on that. But I'm really excited to start this program again, and I hope to see you there. All right, guys, have a great day.